Piers Morgan Live. I want to welcome my very special guest, Suze Orman, and our studio audience. We've got a lot to get through tonight, including questions from our audience here and from you at home. To ask Suze questions directly, tweet us using our show handle, @PiersMorganLive. And to follow on the conversation, use tonight's special hashtag, which is SuzeOnPML. But I want to begin with the story so many people are talking about in America tonight. CNN's been on it all day. It's same-sex marriage at the Supreme Court, something Suze feels very strongly about. And here in our audience, a man who says the court shouldn't make marriage policy for the country. Ryan Anderson is the author of What is Marriage? Man and Woman, a Defense. Ryan, why are you so opposed to gay people getting married?
You know, I'm not really opposed to anything in this situation. I think that marriage exists to bring a man and a woman together as husband and wife, to be mother and father to any children their union produces. And that the Supreme Court, in the cases that they're hearing today and tomorrow, should really not cut short the democratic debate that we're having. Citizens all across the country right now are discussing what marriage is and why it matters. And what we want to see the court do today and tomorrow is uphold our constitutional authority to have that debate and to pass laws about marriage.
Okay, but when I ask the question, why are you opposed to it, I assume you're opposed to it. Are you saying you're not opposed to it? Are you in favor of gay marriage?
I'm in favor of having the citizens have the authority to go to the ballot box and vote about marriage. And when they go to the ballot box...
Now you sound like a politician.
Well, I want them to vote for marriage between a man and a woman. I think that's what marriage is.
Let's keep this simple. Are you in favor or against gay marriage?
I'm in favor of marriage between a man and a woman.
So you're against gay marriage?
I don't like phrasing it that way, but you can phrase it that way.
Well, there's no other way of phrasing it. You're either in favor of it or you're not.
It's like saying you're against a square circle. I'm in favor. I think what marriage is a union of a man and a woman.
Do you believe that because, as many argue, it's to do with procreation? That basically the reason a man and a woman should be allowed to marry rather than a man and a man or a woman and a woman is to do with their ability to procreate?
I don't think it's only that. I think what it's built upon is the truth.
Is that part of it?
That's part of it. It's based on the truth that men and women are different and complementary, and that the act that unites a man and a woman is the same act that creates a new life. And the reality that a child has a mother and a father, and marriage is the institution that helps incentivize the mother and the father that created the child to commit to each other and then to care for that child.
So would you ban everyone over the age of 50 from getting married?
No, I mean, that was a great question that was asked today during oral arguments. And the response is that...
But it is a great question.
It's a great question. There's a great response.
People over 50, man and women, they can't procreate. So do they get banned?
Men are fertile. Most men are fertile throughout the entirety of their lives.
But a woman over 50 is unlikely to procreate.
Right. So the marital norm still helps, because if the man is faithful to his wife, he's not creating fatherless children. Government's not interested in regulating my love life. Everyone's free to live and to love as they choose. Government's interested in the marital relationship because the unions of men and women can create kids.
What about prisoners? At the moment, under your logic, prisoners have a fundamental right to get married, even if they're in prison and can't actually have sex with anybody.
Yes,
but you would rather defend a prisoner's right to get married than you would Suze Orman's right to get married to her partner.
Yep, so the Supreme Court looked at these cases about the fundamental right...
Is your answer to that question yes?
The Supreme Court looked at these cases about the fundamental right to marry for prisoners, and they understood, again, because what marriage is a union of a man and a woman, prisoners have that same right, partly because they come out of jail, and they still have lives. It's not as if once you go into jail, you're there forever.
But you understand
and they can still carry on relationships.
Right, do you understand why I feel, especially with Suze sitting here, an incredibly successful American business icon who's been in a 12-year relationship with a woman she loves very deeply. I find it extraordinary that you, as a fellow American, would be quite happy to see a prisoner's rights upheld to get married, and you'd be quite happy to have a principle which says it's about procreation, even if people are 60 or 70-year-old and can't procreate if they're women. But you don't want Suze to have the right to marry the woman she loves. I find that bizarre, but I want you to explain to her what's wrong with her.
I don't think there's anything wrong with you.
You don't want her to have the same rights as you.
All Americans have the right to live and to love how they choose to. And we don't need government redefining marriage to make that a reality.
But if Suze wants to get... If Suze wants to get married, though, you don't want her to have the same right as you to do that. Who is you to say that? I mean, with the greatest will in the world and the best respect, and I understand you're not the only person in America who feels this, is a polarizing issue, even though it's moving very fast, as you know, in the polls in favor of same-sex marriage. But I just find it odd that you want a certain right for you, but you don't want to afford it to someone like Suze.
I want the right to marry to be for everyone. The question is, what is marriage? I think that marriage is intrinsically, what it is a union of a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, a mother and a father. But I think all adults should be free to live and to love as they choose. They can join a religious community that will perform a wedding. In all 50 states, this is legal. They can join a place of employment that will give them marriage benefits. In all 50 states, that's legal. You don't necessarily need the government calling your adult relationship a marriage to live and to love how you want to.
Susie, I've
Haven't
heard,
I been
right?
good? I was really silent. I was really silent there.
What are you really feeling right now? Because this is the debate laid bare. This is a guy sitting a few feet away from you who says, nope, I don't want people like you to be able to have the same right to get married as people like him.
At the time,
That's what it boils down to.
I feel compassion for you. And I'll tell you why, because I know that you believe very strongly what you believe. But I also know that you're very, very uneducated in how it really, really works. That you say, and I believe from the bottom of my heart that if you really, really understood why the government does need to get involved, why it does need to be legal on a federal level, if you really understood that, there's no way that you would sit there and say what you are saying right now. So I understand.
Why do you assume that I'm ignorant? I mean, you assume that I just don't know. I don't assume anything badly about you.
No.
I just think we disagree. And President Obama himself has said that there are people of goodwill and sound mind on both sides of this issue. I agree with the president. And so I'm not going to call you names, and I'm not going to say you're ignorant, that you don't understand. But up until the year 2000, no political community on the face of the earth had ever defined marriage as anything other than a male-female relationship. I think there are good reasons for that.
You have your facts
I think there are good
down.
reasons for that.
You are really a great recorder.
Here's one fact, Susie. Where does the American Constitution say that a same-sex couple can't get married?
The Constitution doesn't, which is why the Supreme Court shouldn't say that.
But just to clarify,
it doesn't
say
marriage
that.
is.
You have assumed that that is the position that America should adopt.
I think that citizens in 41 states have defined marriage as a union of a man and a woman, and the U.S. federal government has done that in the Defense of Marriage Act. If you want to change those laws, we can have a discussion, we can take a vote, we can let the democratic process work its way out. But I think the constitutional question before the court right now isn't whether or not same-sex marriage is a good or a bad idea. It's whether or not citizens have constitutional authority to pass laws about what marriage is.
Let's go to a question from someone else in the audience. This is Fallon Becker. There's an interesting question. It's on the same theme, and actually cuts to, I think, what Susie was about to get to, which is the economic reality, never mind anything else, about this debate.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
So I was wondering what the economic benefits are for children who are being raised by gay parents who can get married.
Yeah, there's tremendous economic benefits, and I'll get to that in 1 second. And Piers, there's also tremendous economic disadvantages to not being able to be married, which is why I said I don't think that this gentleman really understands it. While it is true that every state can say, that does, the 9 states, you can legally get married, it means nothing on the federal level. That means what? That means we don't get to partake in estate tax. We each have to pay estate tax no matter what. It means here I am, and I'm married to KT, and I'm covered under insurance for my corporation, and I want to cover her. If it's not recognized, KT has got to pay income tax on that health benefit. That could be $3,000 to $5,000 a year. If we were legally married, recognized on the federal level, KT would not have to pay a penny. Then we have all kinds of things such as Social Security. Let's just say KT never worked her entire life. And now we're older. I'm going to be 62 here. I'm going to be able to collect Social Security as we get older. As a legally married couple on a federal level, KT would be able to collect half my Social Security. Upon my death, she would get my entire Social Security. But not now. We don't get to participate at all. For a child, let's just say you're in a relationship and you have children and they're legally your children. And you're staying at home with your children and taking care of them and raising them just the way that I'm sure this gentleman would like you or thinks children should be raised. You have the privilege